Stop everything you're doing right now. If your boss has said this specific phrase to you in the last 7 days, you've been on the job for less than 30 days and probably didn't even notice the sign. I'm not exaggerating. Organizational psychologists have analyzed over 10,000 real-life cases of layoffs in companies of all sizes and discovered a frightening pattern. 87% of managers use the exact same phrase between 2 and 4 weeks before firing someone. And the worst part? Most employees completely ignore this warning because the phrase seems totally harmless. While you watch this video, thousands of people are receiving this signal right now and have no idea what's about to happen to their careers. I'm going to reveal what that phrase is, why it's so dangerous, and most importantly, I'm going to give you a detailed action plan of what you need to do in the next 24 hours if this has happened to you. The deadly phrase is, "Let me think about it and I'll get back to you." Sounds completely normal, doesn't it? Your boss says it all the time, right? Wrong. There's a huge difference between when this phrase is used normally and when it's a death sentence for your career. Let me explain the psychology behind it. When a manager values an employee and really needs to think about something, they use specific language. They say things like, "Let me analyze the numbers and we'll talk tomorrow at 2," or "I'll check with the finance team and get back to you by Friday," or "Good idea. Let's schedule a meeting to develop this further." Do you see the difference? There's a clear commitment, a defined deadline, a concrete action. But when the phrase comes loose, vague, without any specific commitment, it's a psychological code for, "I've already decided the answer is no, but I'm not going to tell you that now because I want to avoid conflict and keep you productive while I look for your replacement." Managers are trained to use neutral and non-committal language when they've already made negative decisions about someone. This is what's called the cushioning strategy. They know that a direct rejection can cause confrontation, immediately demotivate the employee, or even lead to lawsuits. So they use this phrase as a protective shield that keeps you in suspense while they arrange a replacement behind the scenes. Now pay close attention because there are 3 specific contexts where this phrase isn't just a warning sign. It's practically a confirmation that your days are numbered at that company. Deadly context number 1. When you ask for a raise or promotion. If you've approached your boss, presented your achievements, your concrete results, explained why you deserve that raise or promotion, and the response was this vague phrase without any deadline or commitment, it's over. The decision has already been made, and the answer is no. A manager who truly values your work and wants to keep you motivated will give a clear answer immediately, even if it's not possible now, but we'll review it in 3 months, or the budget is locked until next quarter, but you're definitely on the list. When the answer is vague, it's because they don't want to say no directly, but they also have no intention of saying yes. They're stalling because they know you're disposable. Deadly context number 2. When you propose an important idea for a project, process improvement, or strategic initiative, managers who see a future and you respond with immediate engagement. They ask questions, request details, schedule meetings to develop the idea, or at least give constructive feedback on the spot. When the answer is this generic phrase, it means your opinion no longer matters to them. You've already been mentally disconnected from the strategic team. And deadly context number 3, the most devastating of all. When you ask directly about your future in the company, questions like, "What is my growth trajectory here? How do you see me in the next 2 years? What are the development opportunities for me?" If the answer is this evasive phrase, you have no future there. 0. A leader who is investing in you has this conversation ready because they've already thought about your development. When they need to think about it, it means they never thought about it because you're not in their plans. Now I'm going to show you why managers do this and how this strategy is psychologically calculated. It's not a coincidence. It's not a lack of time. It's not genuine indecision. It's corporate manipulation disguised as professional consideration. Organizational behavior researchers have identified this tactic as the cushioning strategy. 78% of managers admit in confidential surveys that they intentionally use vague language when they've already made negative decisions about an employee. And they do this for 3 very specific strategic reasons. Reason number 1, to avoid immediate confrontation and preserve the organizational climate. If the manager gives you a direct no in that conversation, you might react emotionally, question the decision, argue, or even create a scene. This makes the environment uncomfortable for them and the team. The vague phrase postpones a conflict and keeps you in a position of passive hope where you won't create problems. Reason number 2, and this is the most cynical of all, to keep you productive while they look for and train your replacement. Think about it. If your boss tells you today that you're going to be fired in a month, what are the chances of you maintaining the same level of productivity and engagement? 0. You'll slow down, look for a job during work hours, maybe even sabotage some projects out of anger. But if he keeps you under the illusion that he's thinking about your request, you continue working normally, delivering results, closing projects, while he silently interviews candidates and organizes your transition. You are literally training your replacement without knowing it. And reason number 3, reduction of legal risks and labor lawsuits. When an employee is fired abruptly or after a request is directly and documentally denied, they have more ammunition for lawsuits of moral harassment, retaliation, or wrongful dismissal with aggravating circumstances. But when there is a history of vague conversations, broken promises, and nebulous communication, it becomes much more difficult to prove bad faith or retaliation in court. The manager can simply claim that they were evaluating the situation and that the dismissal was due to unrelated operational issues. Vague language is a legal shield. The result of all this? While you're at home anxiously awaiting that answer your boss promised, thinking he's actually considering your request, he's already interviewed 3 candidates for your position, coordinated your dismissal date with HR, reassigned your strategic projects to other people, and prepared a speech about, unfortunately, we need to make some adjustments to the team. You're the last to know about your own demise. Now let's do a test. If your boss has already said that phrase to you and you also identified 3 or more of these signs that I'm about to list, it's no longer a question of if you'll be fired. It's a question of when. And usually that when is between 2 and 4 weeks. Write this down. Sign number 1. You stop being included in strategic or planning meetings that you used to attend. It doesn't even have to be all the meetings, but if you've noticed that important meetings about the future of the project, budget decisions, or quarterly planning are happening without you, it's because you've already been removed from the circle of trust. They no longer want to invest time informing you about things you won't be there to execute. Sign number 2. Your boss's emails and messages take more than 24 hours to be answered, whereas before he responded quickly. Managers prioritize communication with those they consider important to the operation. When you become a low priority in his inbox, you become disposable in his mind. Sign number 3. He started documenting everything in writing. Conversations that were previously verbal now become emails. Feedback that was once informal is now formalized in documents. When a manager starts creating a paper trail, they are building the documentary justification for your dismissal. They are protecting the company from potential lawsuits. Sign number 4. A new intern, trainee, or temporary assistant has appeared out of nowhere to support you, especially if this person has started asking you very specific questions about your processes, your contacts, your system passwords, or how you perform certain tasks. You're not gaining an assistant. You're training your replacement without knowing it. Sign number 5. Your most important projects have been redistributed to other people without a clear explanation. Your boss says it's to balance the workload or give others the opportunity to learn, but in practice you've lost the deliverables that gave you visibility and relevance. When your strategic weapons are taken away, it's because you're no longer going to fight the important battles. Sign number 6. Your ideas have started to be consistently ignored or rejected, even the small ones. You suggest something in a meeting and are either ignored or given a "we'll see" that never materializes. Sign number 7. You haven't received any important new projects in the last 2 months. You're only finishing old tasks, but nothing new or strategic has come your way. Sign number 8. The tone of conversations has changed. Your boss is more formal, more distant, less willing to talk about personal matters or have that informal hallway chat. The relationship has cooled for no apparent reason. Sign number 9. You've noticed you're being left out of WhatsApp groups, Slack, or team communication channels you use to participate in. Or the conversations in these groups simply stop when you join. And sign number 10, the most obvious of all, Your boss has started criticizing small mistakes that he previously let slide, or is being excessively strict with deadlines and details that were never a problem before. He's building a history of low performance to justify your dismissal. Now go back to the phrase, your boss said, let me think about it. How many of these 10 signs did you identify? If it was 3 or more, my friend, you haven't been around for a month. You have weeks, and you need to act now. Okay, so far you've identified the problem. Now comes the most important part, what to do, and I'll be very direct with you. If you confirm that you're in this situation, you have to act within the next 24 hours. Not next week, not when you have more time, not after your boss gives you feedback. Now, because every day you lose waiting is a day your replacement is being trained, and your chances of negotiating a dignified exit decrease. So grab a pen and paper or open your phone's notepad and write down this action plan that could save your career. Phase 1. Tonight, when you get home, you're going to set aside 3 non-negotiable hours to do the following. First, completely update your LinkedIn profile. And when I say completely, I don't just mean changing your job title. You're going to document all your quantifiable achievements from the last 2 years. Led a project that increased sales? Put it there, led implementation of a strategy that resulted in an X% increase in sales. Reduce costs? Optimize processes? Manage a team? Everything has to be there, with numbers, with concrete results. Second, make a list of 20 companies that are direct competitors of your current company or that operate in the same segment. Why? Because these companies value exactly the knowledge and experience you have now. You won't have to prove yourself from scratch. Third, and this is critical, you'll take all your projects, presentations, spreadsheets, portfolios, anything that proves your work and deliverables, and save it all on an external hard drive or in a personal cloud. Use your personal email, never the company account. Why? Because on the day you are fired, you'll have 15 minutes to pack your things and leave. You will not have access to anything digital, and you will need this material to show in interviews. Fourth, update your resume with these same quantifiable achievements. No generic descriptions. Concrete results, real numbers. Phase 2, tomorrow, during normal working hours, you'll do the following without raising suspicions. First, you're going to send casual messages to at least 3 recruiters or headhunters in your network asking if they can have a virtual or in-person coffee in the next few days. Don't say you're desperate. Don't say you're going to be fired. You simply say you're evaluating growth opportunities or exploring the market. Recruiters love candidates who aren't desperate, so maintain that attitude. Second, you're going to start applying to the top 5 companies on that list you made yesterday. Don't wait for the week to end. Don't wait for your boss to respond. Apply now. Third, you're going to start documenting and writing all your recent achievements that haven't yet been formalized. That project you closed last week? Write an executive summary with results. That client you won? Document the process and the impact. You're creating ammunition for interviews and also for possible labor negotiations if necessary. Phase 3, next 7 days. This is where you become a networking and interview machine. Minimum goal, 3 interviews scheduled next week. It doesn't matter if it's for a position you think you won't accept. You need to practice your pitch, test your market value, and most importantly, create real options for yourself. Here's an advanced strategy that few people know. If you get a formal offer from another company before being fired, you can negotiate your departure from your current company. You schedule a meeting with your boss or HR and say, I receive an offer from another company. Before making any decision, I'd like to discuss my future here. This pushes the envelope and usually results in one of 3 things. Either they make a real counteroffer if they really want to keep you, or they admit they have no plans for you and you negotiate a severance package with benefits preserved, or you simply leave for the other company with your dignity intact. Either way, you're in control. And there's more. If you voluntarily leave for another company before being fired, your resume looks infinitely better. There's no unemployment gap, no market dismissal, and you can tell a positive story in future interviews. Now pay attention to what you should not do. Never, under any circumstances. Confront your boss directly about the phrase or the signs. Don't go up to him and say, "Are you going to fire me?" Why? Because if you're wrong, you created an awkward situation that will permanently tarnish your relationship. And if you're right, you force him to give you an answer that will likely hasten your departure without giving you time to prepare. You also shouldn't become paranoid and completely change your behavior at work. Keep delivering well. Keep being professional. Now I'm going to tell you two real stories that perfectly illustrate the difference between acting and ignoring the signs. Both happened at the same technology company, during the same period, with people in the same position, but the results were completely opposite. Story number one, Marina. Marina was a digital marketing analyst at a medium-sized company. She had been there for 3 years, always delivered good results, and never caused any problems. In March of that year, she realized she was stagnating and decided to ask for a promotion to coordinator. She prepared a presentation with all her results, success stories, projects she led, and the increase in metrics she achieved. She scheduled a meeting with her manager and presented her case. The manager's response was exactly, "Marina, let me think about this calmly and we'll talk again soon." Marina left the meeting hopeful. She thought, "He'll evaluate. He'll talk to the board. He'll see my numbers." 2 weeks passed. She sent a polite follow-up email asking if he'd been able to evaluate it yet. Response, "I'm still analyzing it. I'll get back to you soon." 2 more weeks passed. She realized she wasn't being called to important campaign planning meetings anymore. When she asked, they said it was because they were testing a new lean team dynamic. The following week, a new intern arrived and started asking very specific questions about the processes Marina managed. The manager asked her to train the intern well because it was important to have knowledge distributed across the team. Marina still hadn't connected the dots. In May, 2 months after that initial conversation, she was called into a meeting room at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. HR was present. The speech was, "Marina, unfortunately, we are going through a restructuring period and need to reduce costs. Your position has been eliminated. You have until Monday to make the transition, and we have already prepared the termination documents here." Marina was in shock, completely unprepared. She didn't have an updated resume, hadn't had any interviews, didn't have any warm contact in the market, and worse, she had no financial reserves because she had just bought a car thinking she would get the promotion. The result? Marina was unemployed for 7 months. She had to sell her car, move to a smaller apartment, and when she finally got a new job, it was in a mid-level position with no growth potential, earning practically the same salary as before. The dismissal completely broke her career momentum. Now, story number 2, Pedro. Pedro worked on the same team as Marina, same position, same company. In April, a month after Marina's conversation, Pedro also decided to ask for a promotion. He used practically the same arguments: results, projects, metrics. And guess what the manager's response was? Exactly the same phrase. "Pedro, let me think about it and I'll get back to you." But Pedro had a friend who worked in HR at another company, and this friend had told him about this pattern of behavior from managers. So when Pedro heard that phrase without a deadline, without commitment, a giant red alert went off in his head. He didn't confront the manager. He didn't tell anyone at the company. But that same night, he completely updated his LinkedIn profile. He sent messages to 5 recruiters he knew saying he was open to opportunities. He started applying for jobs strategically. In 2 weeks, he had already done 4 interviews. In a month, he had 2 formal offers on the table, both with salaries 20% higher than his current one and coordinator positions. But here's Pedro's masterstroke. He didn't accept the offers immediately. He scheduled a meeting with his manager and said, "Look, I was expecting this, but I received 2 offers from other companies for coordination positions. Before making any decision, I want to know if there's any possibility of growth for me here, because I'd like to stay if there's a clear path forward." The manager was visibly uncomfortable and gave an evasive answer. That's when Pedro had confirmation that he really didn't have a future. He asked for a week to decide, negotiated the benefits of his resignation with HR, claiming he would leave amicably without creating problems. And in 2 weeks, he was starting his new job. The result? Pedro not only avoided unemployment, but also got a promotion and salary increase. He maintained his career momentum, added new experience to his resume without an unemployment gap, and even left his previous company with all the necessary documentation for a termination without just cause, entitling him to unemployment insurance and severance pay. The difference between Marina and Pedro wasn't luck. It was recognizing the sign and acting immediately. Marina lost 2 precious months waiting for an answer that would never come while the company organized her replacement. Pedro used those same 2 months to create real options and leave on his own timeline, not the company's. That's the difference between being a victim of circumstances and being the protagonist of your own career. And you, will you be Marina or will you be Pedro? So now you have all the information you need. You know the phrase. You know the deadly context in which it appears. You know the 10 complementary signs that confirm when you're in the crosshairs. And most importantly, you have a detailed 24-hour action plan that can completely change the outcome of your situation. Now comes a question only you can answer. What are you going to do with this information? You have 2 very clear options in front of you. Option number 1. You close this video, go back to your normal routine, continue waiting for that answer your boss promised, continue believing that everything will resolve itself, that you're being paranoid, that your situation is different, that the signs don't apply to you. And then, in a few weeks, you'll be called into that meeting room on a Friday at 5 in the afternoon, and you'll hear the words, "Unfortunately, we need to make some adjustments to the team." And you'll be completely unprepared without an updated resume, without scheduled interviews, without a warm network of contacts, without adequate financial reserves, and most importantly, without any control over the narrative of your departure. You're going to be Marina in this story. Or option number 2, you recognize that knowledge without action is just entertainment. You understand that at this very moment, while you're watching this video, if you identified 3 or more of those signs, the company is already organizing your replacement behind the scenes. And you decide you're not going to be a victim of circumstances. You're going to be Pedro. You're going to take the next 3 hours of your evening tonight, cancel that series you were going to watch, postpone that video game, and execute phase 1 of the plan I gave you. You're going to update your LinkedIn, make a list of 20 companies, save your entire portfolio, update your resume. And tomorrow morning you wake up already knowing exactly what you need to do. Send messages to recruiters, apply to the top 5 companies, document your achievements. And in the next 7 days, you become a networking and interview machine until you have real offers on the table. Then, when your boss finally calls you into that room, either you're already in your new job, happy as can be, or you have concrete options that allow you to negotiate a dignified exit on your terms. The choice seems obvious when I put it like that, doesn't it? But the reality is that most people, even after watching this entire video, won't do anything. Because it's more comfortable to stay in denial, to believe that you're special, that your situation is different, that the signs don't apply to you. But the data doesn't lie. 87% of managers use this phrase before firing someone. If you heard this phrase and identified the signs, statistically you're in that group. So here's my challenge to you. If this video made sense, if you identified your situation here, if you really want to control your career instead of being controlled by it, I want you to do 3 things now. First, share this video with someone you know who might be going through this. It could be that friend who's complaining about their boss. It could be that coworker who seems lost. It could even be that family member you notice is in an unstable situation. You can literally save someone's career by sharing this information. Second, comment below with the word signs. Because if this video gets 1,000 comments with that word, I'll make a follow-up video showing the other 12 signs of dismissal that managers use, including nonverbal cues, body language, and micro-expressions that reveal your boss's true intentions. Third, and most important, take action today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Set aside those 3 hours and execute phase 1 of the plan. And if you do this and achieve positive results in a few weeks, come back here and tell your story in the comments to inspire others. I read all the comments and respond whenever I can. Remember, the job market isn't pure meritocracy. It's not the one who works the hardest who survives. It's the one who reads the right signals and acts at the right time. You just received information that 90% of workers don't have. Now you have an advantage. Use it. And one last thing before you go. The moment you heard that phrase from your boss, an invisible clock started ticking. Every day you don't act is one less day you have to prepare. So please don't waste this warning. Your career, your financial stability, your mental well-being. Everything depends on the decisions you make in the next 24 hours. See you in the next video. And always remember, your career is your responsibility. No one else will take care of it for you. Bye.